Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone to the Masterful Conversations podcast, where we learn about leadership through the lens of the men who are currently serving as Worshipful Master or have served as Worshipful Master in a regular lodge of free and accepted Masons. I am Brother Matthew Wagstaff, past master of Eureka Lodge number 36 in Rochester, New York, and I am accompanied by my fellow past master, Mark Alexander of Sons of Kings Lodge number 123 in Brooklyn, New York. We hope that the information that you receive today will be inspiring, uplifting, educational in nature, and that you will be able to take a jewel or two back to your respective lodges and help to improve the craft in your lodge. But before we move any further with introducing our esteemed guest today, a quick disclaimer.
The information shared on this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed do not represent those of any Masonic Lodge or Grand Lodge. It's important that you do your own research and consult the appropriate office in your own jurisdiction when it comes to this information. And also, let me just add, because you ain't add the most important part, because, we are under the jurisdiction of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York, where at present, Most Worshipful Gregory Robertson Smith Jr. presides.
Absolutely. See, you got my back. I appreciate you. Thank you for
Yeah,
that. Thank you
definitely,
for
definitely.
that. I don't want no problems. I don't want the smoke.
Exactly.
Keep the smoke over there, right? Most worshipful, please. Fantastic.
All right. So at this time, we will introduce our guest. I have the esteemed pleasure of introducing a man that is very special and important to myself and to my lodge. That is past Master Derek Pritchett. He is actually the first worship master of our lodge of Sons of Kings Lodge number 123. He served the 2 years during dispensation and 1 year during charter. That's the years 2000 to 2004. He is currently the District Deputy Grand Master for the for the Second Masonic District. He served as the past president of the the Penn Foundation. That's our foundation that runs the building in this Brooklyn Prince Hall Temple. He's a past high priest of Widow Sons number 1, past potentate of Abba Becca Temple number 91, and he's also a 33rd degree Mason. GIG Pritchett believes got his 33rd in 2020, I believe, or 20 or 21. 21. Yeah, one of the two.
March 29th,
Yeah,
2021. Yes, sir.
there it is, 2021. So again, Brother Pritchett, we thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very, very excited and very, very fortunate to be a part of this. Thank you. Honored.
Absolutely. So past Master Pritchett, we'll get right into it right now. Talk to us a little bit about, like, you have a very unique situation where you were able to be Worshipful Master under dispensation and through a charter. Would love to hear about your time in the East. Just give us a little bit of background, the years that you served, remind us about those years you served, any current events that were happening, the sitting Grand Master at that time, how big was your lodge? Just give us a little bit of a background on the context of your time in the East.
Sure. Well, let me start from the beginning. I actually came from a non-Prince Hall Lodge uh, where I served over there for 13 years of my life. Unfortunately, we didn't know much about regularity or Prince Hall in general. I had a wife at the time. We were married, and we had a couple of marital problems. So I thought that it might be best if I joined an organization she was a part of to sort of like get a closer bond with her. And the relationship didn't work out, unfortunately. But I decided I wanted to stay because she was an Eastern Star before I was a Mason. So I wanted to be a part of something she was. And that's one of the main reasons why I joined, to be honest. Everybody asks, why'd you join? Because I wanted to make my marriage a little bit tighter, but that didn't work out. And I developed a strong love for Masonry. In the 13 years that I served as Worshipful Master. I served as the Scottish Rite jurisdiction. I served as the first lieutenant, and actually served as the first lieutenant is similar to deputy grand master in the normal Blue Lodge system. Then I decided to leave, and I came over into Prince Hall in 2002. October 26th, went through an occasional. It was me and 22 other of my brothers, 23 in total. One lodge, 23 brothers, and we wound up getting on the registry of Prince Hall Lodge number 123, which is,
Nice.
I guess that was a God given, that He looked upon us to one lodge, 23 members, and we actually hit that number 123. I remember in the beginning stages, actually, when I left my former jurisdiction, I was one seat away from the Grand Master's position. And I did not want to lead an organization that, I considered to be irregular, though there were very good people over there. And, they did just as good work as we did, but they just wasn't recognized, or, it didn't have the credentials to really, operate as regular Masons. So I decided to leave in 2000. I took a 2-year hiatus. I came over, and I was actually going to join the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. To be quite honest with you, I had went on a tour with them, my old jurisdiction, to the mainstream Grand Lodge, and saw their beautiful building. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Caucasians have a very nice building. Let me go see what our brothers have. So I walked down Broad Street, a couple of blocks on my own by myself, and I stared at the sign in front of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. I remember just standing there looking at it and saying, damn, one of these days I'm going to be a Prince Hall Mason. Mm. And one of the other things that struck me was I remember that living in Brooklyn, being a resident of Brooklyn, um, I used to pass by the Prince Hall Temple in Brooklyn so many times, and I was like, man, wonder what they do, how they practice masonry. And I used to hear all the grand stories about how perfect they were, how ritualistically were, how together they were, and I was very interested. So when I started to make my journey, I got a call from one of our brothers, and he said, hey, we have a couple of lodges that are actually coming through an occasional that they call it. And I was like, an occasional? I said, okay. They said, well, instead of you going to Pennsylvania, why don't you come with these brothers? So I decided to come along with the 22 other men that we've had. We went and we met with, at the time, the Grand Master was Daniel W. Simmons. He was the Grand Master at the time. And his cabinet was there. It was Gregory, who was it? It was Calvin Martin, Gregory Robertson Smith, Dwayne Walker, and Ed Swire, and Isaac Reed. I know I'm going back some names that but that was over 21 years ago. So in 2002, October 26th, we came through an occasional Grand Lodge. When we first petitioned the Grand Lodge, we said, can we come over as a lodge? First, they frowned upon it, and they said, well, if you have a requisite number of members and you're able to operate, sure, we'll let you go as as a lodge. And they assigned us an overseer by the name of Right Worshipful Leo D. Johnson. He was a member of Widow Sun Lodge number 11 in the Second Masonic District, and he actually taught us the ways of Prince Hall Masonry. He was a taskmaster, I must say. He wanted to make sure that, we dotted every I and crossed every T. And one of my experiences up there wasn't pleasant at first, because where we came from, we didn't read, we didn't memorize anything. We just read everything. So, of course, the growing pains we had to go through at first to learn the ritual verbatimly. We struggled for a minute, but after about the third or fourth month, we kind of got it down pat. And I have to share this story because this was one that really surprised a lot of us. When we first came into the Second Masonic District, we kind of figured that, we kind of figured that we'd be received with open arms by all the brethren. Because, we came from a non-Prince Hall Lodge into Prince Hall Lodge. And, we said, hey, we're making ourselves right. We want to be regular. We want to be recognized. And we hoped that all the brothers would have received us with open arms. But unfortunately, some of them shaded us. It was maybe just 2 lodges, I think, out of the whole 13 that were there, that shaded us. Said, oh, well, you didn't come in the Prince Hall. You came from the other side and this and that. That kind of disturbed us a lot, but
Mm.
it also put a little chip on our shoulder to make us to try to be the best that we can be in Prince Hall Masonry, the Second Masonic District. And the brothers sort of like took a pact with each other at that time, the core members, I call them, the founders of Sons of Kings Lodge 123. And we all agreed that, hey, we're going to do whatever we can to make sure we, can stand with the rest of the lodges. And I'm proud to say that we're now one of the most, if not the premier lodge in the Second Masonic District. The lodge over the years has gained a lot of popularity. And it's not because of me, it's because of a lot of our worshipful masters that have served. The worshipful masters that preceded me, they were all dynamic. Every one of them, Mark being one of them, one of the hardest working worshipful masters we've had. There's quite a few. I can name all of them, past master Barry White, Dwight Reed, Damon Wright, Kevin Manley, Ed Caver, Kenneth Lewis, Fitzgerald Boyce, Hewlin Ginn, Stephen Ellis, our current, our past master Alexander, and our current worship master again for the second time. The Rodriguez brothers. I don't know if you can
About
forget
to say,
them.
I about to let
Carlos and Eddie
Eddie.
Rodriguez. Yeah, the
Hmm.
ritualists, I call them.
Hmm.
And then we have Mark and then now our current worship master who's going back for a second term or a second time of Fitzgerald Boyce. And since we've been over here, it's been a great experience. I know I love Prince Hall Masonry so much. I've been in since 1989. I got raised in this 2020. That's 35 years now that I've actually been in the craft. So 22 in Prince Hall, 13 on the other side. So yeah, 35 years. It's a long time. I've served a lot of committees in Prince Hall. I've served working lectures,
Hey,
education committee.
Derek,
Yeah.
we love you going for your whole history, but we aiming for your years as worship master. How was
Oh,
those?
sure, sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
year, the
Specifically,
year
like
itself.
I want to hear like the dispensation side.
Vision.
Like, how was it being the leader of a lodge that was coming over, making that transition? And then when you got that, when you made that transition, how was it being worshipful master as a chartered Prince Hall Lodge?
Well, of course, like I said in the beginning, it was difficult because you have to learn the ways of Prince Hall. We were like a baby going through our growing pains, and but we all just tried to come together as much as we could to make ourselves regular. I remember one of the criterias that our overseer said that we had to show and prove that we were capable of being a chartered lodge was one, establishing a bank account, two, being able to bury our dead, and three, being able to do the first 3 degrees in its entirety. And that was cool. So we were able to do that. After the fact of being in the Prince Hall Lodge, of course, we were actually excited once we received the number on the registry being the 123rd Lodge that was chartered. That session, we was very excited to be a part of it. We then at that point received open arms from everyone in the Prince Hall family, and it was just a great experience forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And were you sort of by naturally sort of put into the place of worshipful master, or was there like a runoff, or like what was that process like?
Yeah, so when we first came together, we had a member who was already had came over to Prince Hall before we did. His name was Robert Hansley. We suggested that he, be the first worshipful master, but he was already in the lodge. He was in already in '93, and he was like, "Well, one of your senior members here, Derek. Why don't you put him?" They said he has the most experience out of everybody. He's been in longer, so they decided to. Uh, put me in as worship master, and that's how that came together. And the name Sons of Kings, I like to tell that story if I may. How it happened was we actually had 3 lodges, all right, that came over. One was Sons of Timothy #1, number one was Kings County, and then you had my lodge, which was Dr. Martin Luther King Lodge. And what we did was one of the brothers had said, "Hey, why don't we take the name and sort of put them together of all 3 lodges?" So we took the sons from Sons of Timothy, we took the Kings from Kings County and Dr. Martin Luther King and formed Sons of Kings, and that's how the name came about.
Very nice.
Later on, we gave it meaning of being with Sons of Brooklyn because it's Kings County, so we became.
And lastly, I like to say, I actually did not want to come out of the East. I wanted to sit there for a couple of years because after, you master the work, so to speak, and things are going well, you want to ride it out. But I had a past master behind me who was ready to go, and I don't believe in holding people back. So we let him run, and he made it. And right after I did my year, we got chartered. He came in right after me, and that's how that was.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you for one other quick story. Uh, the when you had the broken leg, tell that story.
Yeah, that's one of the famous stories that I hear a lot about. I was doing my first raising as a worshipful master, and I don't know many. I used to play semi-pro football, and I suffered quite a few injuries while I played. Because if you know anything about the semi-pro football network, they're very dirty players, and
Mm.
so I suffered my tibula and fibula bone got cracked, and my ankle was torn apart. Had to have a screw to hold it together. So I was on. Make a long story short, I was on cast. We had the degree coming up. I'm injured. I knew the work. Nobody didn't know my part. Everybody knew their part. So I said, all right, well, let's just do it. So we toughed it out, and I did it on crutches. We actually did the third degree on crutches, and we brought the brothers in, and an enlightening experience.
Oh man, to be in the room to see you on crutches, man, bringing these brothers to light.
Hmm.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, I particularly wanted to tell that story because it just shows the determination in which you have. So I wanted to get that out. Um, Derek, let me move on to the next question. What do you define as effective leadership?
Effective leadership. Well, let's see. I believe um, effective leadership is, of course, one having a knowledge of the craft, being able to know all the ins and outs, and particularly the basics of Freemasonry, the signs, the passes, the words, the grips, how to open and close. Those things. So a knowledge of the craft is good leadership skill. I believe building relationship with brothers, getting to know your brothers when they come in, know about them, know their likes and their dislikes, sort of try to like bond with your brothers as much as you can. Being able to adapt to changes because uh, a lot of changes come down where they have, maybe different edicts or things that Grand Lodge may have, trying to adapt to those changes. Try to be very innovative and creative. In our lodge, we're trying to find better ways of, raising funds or better ways of, building the lodge membership up. Those are a few. Able to be one of the main things is trying to able to be a motivator for others. I think that's the strongest thing. You have to have some sort of desire to be able to influence others to try to make them think like we all want to think. We have a saying in masonry, be all of one mind, and that's what I mean by trying to motivate others to be of one mind so we can move as a smooth, well-oiled machine. Another thing of leadership is like decision making. Both the tough decisions and the simple decisions. Because sometimes as a leader, you're going to get hit with a lot of difficult things that come your way, and making the right decision, and trying to be not biased. Not trying to be not try to show impartiality to your brothers and into the situation where you don't hurt other people's feelings and stuff like that. But sometimes you do, unfortunately. But just to make clear and tough decisions, I think that's part of being a leadership. And that also deals with trying to deal with a lot of conflicts and your management skills with conflicts. And again, I think the best way to deal with that is just try to be impartial to each situation. Don't show favoritism towards a decision that you make. Try to use a clear and concise, knowledgeable decision when you make a decision, to try to make it as best you can. Of course, have good negotiation skills, being able to try to rectify the problem as best you can, and just have just critical thinking to show that you're an intelligent brother and you thought this out, and you think this might be the best thing for us. So I think those are skills that I believe are great leadership skills for anyone in order to succeed.
Mhm. You mentioned be all of one mind, and I am super curious now because I didn't realize. I know Past Master Alexander. He told me this story before about how Sons of Kings came about, and now I'm just thinking to myself, like, three lodges of grown men coming into a new organization. You got all these egos, you got all these personalities. Like, help me out, Past Master Pritchett, in terms of like when you were sitting in those tables with those three different lodges, yours being one of them. Like, what was that conversation like, and how did you all come to one mind?
Well, in the beginning, before we came over here, like I said, all of us wanted, to become Prince Hall Masons.
Okay,
We were
okay.
totally excited about it because, we loved the rep that Prince Hall Masons had, and we wanted to be a part of that. It's a great organization, and you see a lot of esteemed brothers are a part of it. While we were a lodge, we just wanted to be a part. We wanted to fit in. And we had conversations with each other. To try to help each other. When one brother was down, we try to help him up. If one brother wasn't good ritualistically, we spent a little more time with him to help him get up to snuff. And just the relationships that we've had with brothers in the crowd. I mean, it's just been so enjoyable to see the love that we receive from a lot of brothers. You know what I mean? To make us what we are today.
Because I'm imagining, thank you. I'm imagining there were past masters that were part of those other lodges. Um, you also being a past master of your lodge, and then thinking about who would be the one to serve and like hold the mantle into this line. You shared the story of like how that happened. It just amazes me how you all were able to come together, make a decision on who the leader will be, like the quote unquote leader. Like everybody had their role to play, but for a young person coming up in the craft, whether they be old in masonry, old in age but young in masonry, or otherwise, tips in terms of like how to navigate those waters from a leadership standpoint, and sort of how you were able to navigate that might be helpful for future folks listening in.
Well, I think when, again, when you have like minded brothers that have the same goal in mind and try to accomplish something, we all were eager to get our number. We actually felt that we were ready in the first year. A lot of brothers from our district also said the same thing. They said these guys are ready. You should have received your number a year ago. But sometimes I think it's good that you go through tough times. You wait it out. You learn as much as you can, so that you can improve and really have a well based knowledge on everything that there is to know. As far as running a lodge is concerned and staying together, but our brothers, I think what the real key was is that we actually loved each other. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And we
Mhm.
showed a lot of love to each other. And that's one of the things that we always try to pull in our lodge. And even when no, we're not perfect, but we do have arguments. Isn't that right, Pastor Matt?
Yes, of course.
We do have
Of course.
arguments, but we don't hold those arguments. We don't hold those grudges. We let them go and we move along. I mean, I remember there were two individuals in our lodge that had some heavy discussions that were like, they were like fighting words sometimes. But we knew and understand that we were one family and we're just going to work this out. And if it wasn't between us, we'll have a mediator come in and and sit aside and say, "Hey, come on, man, we brothers. Let's not do that." And I take a lot of pride in that, and I think our members take pride in that. We don't have many issues like you hear a lot of lodges has. Of course, we have egos. Everybody has egos, but we try not to. You know, um, how can I put it? We try not to
Let the
be
egos rule.
egotistical.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
We
That's
try
what
to
I
we
was
try to
gonna
have a steady
no,
medium with everyone.
yeah, I was gonna lead to that same point. Of course, we all have egos, we all men and individuals or whatever, but we don't let our personal egos get into control or mess up the flow of the lodge. Everybody know that, what we're supposed to do as Masons, and basically everybody follow that. So that's one of the main things that help make our lodge successful. Even going back to the beginning, because I know a lot of the history, like our original, the junior warden and senior warden, when they were chartered, it wasn't the same junior warden and senior warden we were dispensated. And they talked it out, worked it out, and then they just kept on flowing. And everybody took their place and everybody's happy, and we continue to strive on. So that's definitely, I always say that's one of the best things about our lodge is that we're able to talk things out. If we have an issue with each other, we're able to discuss it with each other. And if we can agree or disagree, but we're going to let each other know what it is, and we all know it's in love. So that's one of the best things about our lodge in general.
Yeah, and I also one of the other thing that stands out too about the love that we have for one another, we were also how can I put it? We all sought out things to do in the Prince Hall family. And to this day, this lodge still does that. And what I mean by that, we take on jobs, we take on positions. The brothers are very eager to learn. They're very eager about the other houses. We've actually had members held other houses. Mark actually, he's the current high priest right now. He's a past commander in chief. He's also our dean of instruction for our consistory. We had other brothers who served as potentates, who served as past high priests as well. And in other houses, and a lot of us are now Grand Lodge officers. We all we all decided to take an active part in the fraternity. And I like that about our lodge. We just don't sit dormant and watch everybody else. We try to get out there and, do the work. And and the good part about it from what I see, I mean, these guys are dynamic. They really perfected the work. They made names not only for our lodge, but for themselves throughout the jurisdiction. I mean, you look at Mark Alexander, he's a household name. Carlos Rodriguez, household name. You know what I mean? You got a couple of past masters in there that really did quite a few good things that I'm proud about. I share another story too. I used to say, I remember I came out of the East on the night we got chartered, and the Grand Master at the time was Calvin Martin. And he said, "So, I see your job is done." And I sat down there and I said, "No, my job is not over yet." I said, "I feel my job is over when I see about 10 past masters standing west of the altar." I said, "Then I know my job is done." Because then I can look back and say, "Wow, we've had 10 guys who actually led this lodge and did a good job of it. And I can sit back now and won't have to work so hard."
No,
Yeah.
that's a fantastic story and a great segue into my next question in terms of, now that you are out of the East for many years now, and past masters have come or worshipful masters have come after you. Talk to us a little bit about how you show up as a leader now, um, as a past master, in your lodge, and in a way that may or may not be imposing on the current worshipful master, or may feel like you're stepping on toes or not. But would love to understand the dynamics, how you show up on a monthly basis in your lodge now as a past master, and how you interact with or have interacted with the other worshipful masters.
Okay. Um, well, I'm gonna be truthful. Okay, I gotta speak the truth. Um, you know, I've noticed things. First, I'm gonna talk about what I noticed about other worshipful masters who come out. I notice when and across the board, I see a lot of worshipful masters come out of the East, and the new worshipful masters goes in, and sometimes they antagonize them a little bit. Sometimes there's a little bit of jealousy that they may have. But I didn't have any of those. I may have the antagonistic part a little bit. When I came out and I looked at other worshipful masters, the one thing that I've always wanted for this lodge was for this lodge to just do things the correct way and do them right. And I may have been a little bit um, uh, how can I say it in a nice way?
just hard.
I may have been a little bit aggressive
Mm.
because I never tried to do anything in malice. Everything that I've said to my past masters was really all done in love. I'm like, no, this is not done right. We have to do it this way. So I was a little aggressive, with my approach to them because I have such a strong love for masonry, and I don't want our lodge to be embarrassed in any way by not being able to do its ritualistic work properly, not being able to know certain things that are simple things that we should know, how to ballot, you know what I mean, how to do an elections, how to bring in the Grand Master, you know what I mean, how to open and close, or how do you dress at a funeral, something as simple as how do you dress at a funeral. A Masonic funeral, you know what I mean? How do you deal with an occasional Grand Lodge? Just little things that the average Mason would know. So I would be a little hard on my past masters, and I guess so because I had to go through it. I remember I had to in the opening close. It says the word recompense. I mean recompense. I used to say recompense, and Leo used to get all over me every little single word or letter. He would just battle me with. And I used to tell all the other past masters, I said, y'all lucky. Y'all don't have to go through what I had to go through when we first got chartered because it was quite embarrassing. To have a man yell at you constantly to get you right. But I guess it helped groom me to be the Mason that I am today. And a lot of times, I regret some of the things that I did um, as a former past master on some of the new past masters. Like one of the things I would constantly do, and a brother had to pull me aside, would like yell across the room when he did something wrong, like, "Hey, no, don't do that. It's this, or the word is this." You know what I mean, in front of everybody, and I didn't mean any harm. I just wanted the brother to know. But and then another brother pulled me aside, and said, "Wait a minute. You know, some brothers may feel embarrassed because there's other men in the room, and you're correcting the brother out loud instead of pulling him to the side." So that's something I had to learn. You know what I mean? I remember one time before I was very frustrated in the lodge with, and Mark had asked me to do something, and I lashed out at him. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I did all of this, and I'm tired of this, and I've been doing all this work, and you're coming to me, and I lashed out at him, and then I realized I was wrong for that too, because he's the worshipful master and he's just asking, hey, whether you did all these things or not, I just need you to do the job. That's all.
And
You
I
know.
don't even remember that, so it's water under the bridge.
See what I mean? So that's one of the good things that I said, that we don't hold grudges. So yeah, I was a bit hard on those worshipful masters to try to do good. But like I said, I've never tried to hurt anyone's feelings or do anything in malice or to embarrass anyone. It's just always try to help them to get it right. My approach at the time maybe was wrong, and that's because I have such a strong love for masonry and doing things right the way I was taught.
Yeah, that is how Derek is. He won't. His goal is to try to make you do it right. I remember even like my first time in the East, or it was my first meeting, or maybe election night. Derek said something like, "Derek, I got it." He was my secretary, so the secretary, so he had to yell across the room. He was right there. I know he said it in love, but I had to let him know that I got it, and we worked it out. We good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, this is really good to hear. Like you telling us some of the things that you were working on as you were going through sort of like your process and some of the things that you may be still working on or have gotten over throughout your time. With the current Worshipful Master, you don't have to get into any specific details, but I'm curious about like today in 2024, how you're showing up as a leader in your lodge, as a past master, one of the original, the first Worshipful Master of your lodge. Now, how are you working with your current Worshipful Master?
Well, we have a great relationship, and the reason why it runs a little bit deeper. So I guess it's not really fair. I know Fitzgerald Boy since we were toddlers, around 11, 12 years old. We grew up in the same neighborhood, actually. And, I guess another heaven sent thing that we were both now in the same lodge.
Mm.
Fitzgerald Boyce also served as my counterpart as a district deputy grand master in the second Masonic district. So we have more of a bond. So serving with him now is like, yeah, okay, I know he got it because he knows what he's doing. I don't
Ah,
have to really question him too much or
okay.
anything or show him this. Maybe I may have to give him a reminder or something he may have forgot. But other than that, it's like a smooth ship sailing.
Uh, Derek, it was a kind of different position since you were the first worship master at the time. But who were your mentors that you had besides Leo that you had to look to try to help you out and guide you as worship master?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, yes, it was Brother Johnson. Even though he was a bit difficult, I really appreciated him. I love him dearly for all the things that he's showed me and taught me in Prince Hall Masonry to be the Mason that I am today. And I
May
say,
he continue to
I
rest in
say,
peace.
yes, I say, God bless the dead and peace be upon him. That
Hmm.
he will rest in peace. My other mentors were Daniel Simmons, of course, when we came in, because he
Hmm.
was a ritualistic person and he also taught us how to, like, try to stay steadfast with your work. I say my biggest mentor right now and who's really, really at the top is Right Worshipful Al Lewis, past Grand Master.
Mhm.
Al Lewis from Carthaginian.
47.
Even to this day now, things that I may not know or things that I may need clarity on, I go to him as my guide. Him and Lovercall.
Hmm.
Those are my two major guys that I go to. Now they're old school, and I never thought I would say it. I'm like, wow, 35 years in the craft, Derek, you're pretty old now. you know, I was considered young pup, coming in at the age of 22, and now I'm 57. That's a lot of years, and I can't believe I'm at this point. But I stand on the shoulders of a lot of good men who came before me, and I'm so thankful for the knowledge and that they've shared with me and the things that they passed on to me. And I want to use all my exertions to pass these things on to other brothers, not only in Sons of Kings, but brothers abroad.
Just a quick note, when you speak of Carthaginian 47, I always got to bring this up. If you visit the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., the picture of the Prince Hall Masons in that museum is of Carthaginian 47.
Yes, and we still have those pictures. When I was the president of the foundation for our building, I make sure we got those pictures upstairs in the attic, stored away. I have the original pictures. Yeah,
And
so
one
all
one of
those
the
pictures you see online is
one
ours.
one of the men in that picture is also our first commander in chief of Long Acquisition number 61,
Yes,
long
sir.
time ago.
That's right.
Nice. Nice history lesson there for sure. Appreciate that. So, Past Master Pritchett, hypothetically, go on this journey with us. If you were to go back into the East in 2025, I'm not saying you will, or that you even have an interest in being Worshipful Master again. But if you were to go back into the East, in this day and age, at this time in the craft, what would you focus on as the Worshipful Master?
All right, I know I'm gonna hurt a lot of brothers' feelings when I say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. One of the things that I would focus on if I went back into the East is no cell phones in the meeting. Okay, and the reason why I say that because this craft has so much to offer. You know what I mean? And in the old days, we didn't have cell phones. You know what I mean? And I feel that if your attention is diverted, you won't grasp everything that's being said. Some reports that may be read, Grand Lodge proclamations that are read, the minutes that are read, you know what I mean? Or just the degree work, listening to the dissertations, understanding, and you need total focus and attention on that. And when that cell phone is you have access to that cell phone to take your attention away from that, that sort of limits your learning. Now, I'm not saying that that's for everyone because some people, they have emergencies or this or that. But I say just, be kind enough and maybe take the conversation outside to the ante room instead of in the lounge room. Going back, one of the other things I would say, and one of the suggestions I always make to incoming worship masters is make sure you select you can't select your elected officers because the lodge makes those when we vote. But your appointed officers always select men that you know that are reliable, who are dependable, and who are there. That you know that you won't have to look around to make sure that they're at rehearsals. You won't have to look around to make sure that they accompany you to visitations. You won't have to look around to see that they're not at your district association meetings or Grand Lodge sessions, and things of that sort and just supporting the worshipful master at everything that he does. So I say, try to select, you know, capable brothers who are dependable and are reliable. Now, I enjoyed being worshipful master. I would love to go back again one day, but I really don't feel that there is a need for me to go back because we have so many talented men in Sons of
Yeah,
Kings
it's all
that
hypothetical.
can hold up that mantle, with the best of us. So and I'm very proud of them. I'm extremely proud of our membership, and the legacy that we've all have made for this lodge to be up there with some of the big bowlers and Prince Hall, as I say.
Yeah. So just to recap then, so Worshipful Master Pritchett in 2025 will focus on no cell phones in the meeting. That would be number one. Like Marshall, I see a cell phone, get him out of here.
Yeah.
And number two, I've selected you because I believe in you. I know that you are not going to let me down. As an appointed officer, you're going to focus in on honing in on those men who you believe that you can trust that will show up for you in those situations. Do I got that right in terms of what you were
Yes,
focusing on?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
And also make sure everybody's ritualistic. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because we prided ourselves on being ritualistic when we first got chartered. And I want all the members who come behind the founding members to have that same attitude.
mm,
Approach that ritual with the strictest of discipline when learning it and trying to get it right. Now, of course, everybody can't be like everybody else, all the good ones, but try to be the best you can be, at it, but at least try, you know what I mean? Just don't say, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to learn it. It kind of looks bad on yourself and, it
mm.
reflects on the lodge. So try the best that you can to, your work.
Yeah. And I love the ritual and I love everything about it. I think it is the one key distinction between us and other organizations. And I also agree with you that everybody's not going to be ritualistic. Everybody has their own sort of lane. I'm curious about like what you did when you were master before, knowing that you were really focused in on ritualistic work before. Like how any gems that you can share. I'm just curious myself in terms of like how we can be more ritualistic and how can you inspire other men who may have that interest or may not to be more ritualistic.
Well, I tell you, I was very bad at first at learning the ritual. I served as a district deputy grand lecturer for like 10 years.
Mm,
And I think what the key was to learning was to fail. And I say that because I remember I did a dissertation and I thought I knew it and I just totally blanked out. And I had to have the um, the guy who was helping me. He had to actually read almost every word for me.
mm,
And going through that embarrassment in front of a whole lot of people, of course, it made me feel bad. I actually cried. And I said to myself that evening, I said, this will never happen again. If you're going to do something, make sure you're prepared to do it. And from that point on, I just, I buckled down and I learned. Now, you asked for a couple of jewels. The main jewel is repetition. If you want to know the secret to ritualistic work, that is the secret. People want to know, hey, how are you so good? How do you know all these dissertations by heart and you say them so naturally? Repetition. The other thing is photographic. You know what I mean? You look at something, you sort of remember, you can actually see the pages, the words on the page, photographic. Another one, which I read, which helps you to become ritualistic, is actually writing the words down on a piece of paper. They said that there's something kinetic with writing and your brain, and they both kind of like interact with each other
mm,
to help your memory. And I think, my number one is repetition, but when taking a consensus from a lot of other brothers that I've talked to, the main one out there is recording it and listening back to what you recorded. So you record what you said, you say it on the recording, you listen back, and you try to follow it as you listen back. A lot of them, that's the number one for a lot of other Masons, but not for me. For me, it's repetition and writing. So those are four Jews for you:
cool. Thank you.
photographic, repetition, writing, record.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did want to add something
I couldn't
to
hear you.
that part. Okay. I said I did want to add something to that part as far as remembering a ritual also, strictly paying attention because a lot of the times this is like it is repetition, but we also hearing it over and over and over and over. And something like, like the installation, the first part of the installation, I got Derek's head in my heart and my Derek's voice in my head all the time, holding the key to a man's heart.
To the
I can
hearts of
see,
men. Yeah,
yeah,
holding the
yeah,
key to the
like,
hearts of
to
men.
hearts of
Yeah.
men. I can see him doing the whole thing, with turning the key and everything. If you're paying attention, you will pick up a lot of that stuff. So that's another thing that we definitely need to do within the lodge, and it won't be so hard because it's just like songs, like recently, over this weekend, well, past weekend, Derek could tell you, one of the sisters had a 50th birthday party. I dressed up like Lenny Kravitz, right? So I did a little deep
And
saw
he
that
looked
dive.
picture. I think I
exactly
saw that
like him.
picture.
Oh my God, you got to show that picture,
So
Mark.
I did a little deep dive into Lenny Kravitz, right? Because I didn't really know too much about him, but just I never sat down and listened to a Lenny Kravitz song at all, never. But just from hearing it in passing, then hearing the song, like I know these songs. I at least know the choruses because they were just in passing, just there. So if you're halfway paying attention, you will pick up a lot of stuff. So that's one thing we need to do, definitely. Derek, I do have one final question for you. I think I know the answer, but you might have a different one. What was your proudest moment while you was in the East?
Well, of course, the proudest moment was when we received the charter.
Mm-hmm.
That night, we made it. Eureka, we made it here. We crossed the threshold. We are now officially Prince Hall Masons of the Prince Hall family of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge. And it was a feeling, and to get all the congratulatory remarks from our brethren, really made us feel good, and I felt really proud. That was the most proudest moment that I've had. I think one of the others is two others. One was when I had to do a dissertation up in Syracuse. I was a lecturer. I was kind of nervous, and the room was kind of crowded. And we had a lot of Caucasian brothers in there. And had a sort of a chip on my shoulder that evening. I said, I want them to see that, we as Black men can do this work and do it well. And I aced that lecture, and I was just so proud and happy that I was able to get through it with no flaws. Um, and that was a proud moment. And of course, the third is I'm just proud of all my past masters that came after me, all of them, every single one of them, for trying to lead this lodge and keep this lodge together and to keep the legacy going and hold to this lodge's values.
Yeah, thank you for that. I definitely knew the charter would be a prouder moment. I was trying to find a picture, but I couldn't find it fast enough.
I
But we do
got them
have.
actually. If you allow me to share it, I'll share them with you real
I said
quickly.
I
Do you have
did have
sharing
that picture.
capabilities?
You have it on your computer? Nah, don't worry about that. It's not that
Yeah, that's right. I
important.
have them ready if you want them. Like 1, 2, 3. They're quick. If you like to
I know
see them.
you. I know you just want to show that you had hair. That's all.
All right. Can I share? Can I
uh,
share?
yeah, Wag. I
Yeah,
guess
let's
want to
let's
share.
see
So
it.
let
Here
him
you
let
go.
him see it. Yeah, exactly. Let him
Sure.
have it.
Yeah, for the people.
Let's
Yeah.
go here. Let me go here. And let me go here. And then let me go to share here. And here, a couple other pictures.
You got a folder. There we go.
Yeah. So that was on the night that we got chartered.
Charter.
That's me in the middle there. That's all the Grand Lodge that was there. You see a lot of old school brothers.
September 10th,
That
2004.
was me up in the East, Calvin Martin,
Mm-hmm.
George Brown, Luther McCoy, me and Calvin Martin. That was Travis Everson, um, as he was the presiding officer for the installation. Those are the founding members, the founding officers, the main officers. Myself as Worshipful Master, Past Master, Barry White, Dwight Reed, Harris Grant as the treasurer, Damon Wright as the recorder
Secretary.
and as
Mm-hmm.
secretary, and
Mm-hmm.
Craig Collins as the assistant secretary. And there we are taking the obligation. There I am taking the obligation. There I am receiving the jewel. There I am escorted up by the bigwigs. I know
And
you know some of
Saul.
these people, right?
Saul.
Saul.
Saul Wallace, Calvin Martin. Yeah. And there we were in the East when they were presenting me with the hat. And there's Christopher Smith, our grand lecturer. And that's me in the hat presiding for the first time as Worshipful Master. And there's the
There it
charter
is.
of Sons of Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of our overseer, Leo D. Johnson. That's the Grand Master who we came in under, Daniel Simmons.
Simmons.
And that's the Grand Master at the Current when we were chartered, and that's me in the middle. Baby New Year.
Oh
Top
man.
hat on. And that's the lodge. Those are
That's
the
the
founding
lodge.
members of Sons of Kings Lodge. And that's it.
Oh man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Sure. Thank
Thank
you
you for
for
that.
allowing me. I really appreciate it.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
Uh, Brother Pritchett, we tremendously thank you for joining us this evening. You have left us with a few things to think about when it comes to leadership, especially this looking after your brothers, take care of your brothers, um, whether it's making sure you pick the right officers for the positions and so many jewels, and we thank you for each and one of them. Do you have any closing comments?
Yes, my closing comments is I'd like to thank you and Brother Wagstaff for this opportunity. Again, I am so grateful that you actually chose me for your second podcast to be a guest. I'm very excited about seeing all of the upcoming podcasts to come. I think you brothers are doing a dynamic job in Prince Hall Masonry, and you know, I can't give you more accolades because what you're doing is history making, and you get to hear other person's story from a different perspective, and I think it's a really, really good thing. And I wish you both much success in your Masonic careers, but more importantly for this podcast. Let's keep it going, and thank you so much for allowing me to be your guest.
We appreciate you. And remember, no cell phones in the lodge, brothers.
Lodge.
No
Yes,
cell
sir.
phones in the
A
lodge.
lot.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much. Thank you so much. Right Worshipful Past Master Derek Pritchett from Sons of Kings, Lodge number 123. Again, we so appreciate you and we thank you. So thank you everybody for your time today. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend some time listening to this podcast, Masterful Conversations podcast. Please like, subscribe, all the YouTube things that we do out there in the world. Do all those things. Stay tuned for the next episode. If you have any questions or feedback, you can always reach us at masterfulconversations@gmail.com. And so with that, we appreciate you all. Thank you so much again, Right Worshipful. God bless.
Thank you. Have a good night.